Let's go, YouTube. It's James from Robin Henry Watches. Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's get straight into it. Wristwatch check. I'm wearing something a bit funky today. Actually, I don't want to say funky.
Funky, that's like 80s. Yeah, but is it from the 80s?
It's from the 90s.
Oh, so close.
Quite close. So this is the Piaget 9P. It's the reference, I think it's the reference 9154.
Oh, it's finally here.
It doesn't, well, actually, it's funny you mention that. I've had it for a while, but it was off at a watchmaker getting jazzed up. Didn't get polished or anything like that. It just got a movement service. And what makes this watch cool is Piaget is known for its ultra thin dress watches. This certainly isn't an ultra thin, but it's thin. Swiss watch.
It's a swishy watch.
Swiss watch. You couldn't get more dress watch if you tried. No seconds, no date, because that's how a dress watch should be. Just time only. It's got a Piaget leather strap. It's got Piaget buckle. Solid yellow gold. What's not to like? And better than anything, £2,500. How good is that? £2,500 for a solid yellow gold Swiss watch. Right, so despite leading in with the Piaget, we're going to make this Moonwatch week, unless I go on to talk about something else.
Moonwatch week.
But we're going Moonwatches. Now, I touched on the Moonwatch a couple of episodes ago in a What's Hot, What's Not. So this is gonna sound like a bit of a contradiction, but it's not. So I'm gonna defend the contradiction comment straight away. So in that episode, I discussed what's not hot because the price of the new Omega Speedmaster was going down that way. But I made a comment, and I'll stand by this, and this is what actually I think makes the Moonwatch great if you're buying one new, is it's still from a major brand, steel, chronograph, sports watch that you can go into the store and you can actually buy it. Unlike, let's say, the Daytona. Even the Zenith Chronomaster Sport right now, which is, let's be honest, I don't want to say it's a copy of the Daytona, but look at the bracelet and the clasp. You can't blame them on the black ceramic bezel. The dial is all very Zenith. But anyway, I'm getting off point.
It's also just not a Daytona.
It's not a Daytona, but people are buying that watch because they want a Daytona, but they can't get a Daytona, or they can't afford to buy it on the aftermarket at 25k plus. In its own right, though, that Zenith, it's a great watch. I think where they messed up for me, I'm going well off topic here, is the bracelet. If you put a picture of the bracelet up on the clasp, it couldn't be any more Rolex if you tried. They didn't need to do that. I think that's, for me, that's what let it down, but it's still a great watch. Anyway, so let's do a very brief history of the Moonwatch, and I'm saying very brief because you can look it up online, and there's going to be people that are doing it, far more detail than me. So the year was 1957. The Swiss watch brand,
over 50 years ago.
Over 50 years ago. The Swiss watch brands, did I just say Swish again? The Swiss watch industry at the time was very innovative, and they were making tool watches to solve problems. So Omega's, what they brought to the table, 1957, they bring out 3 watches. You got the Seamaster 300. Now, the Seamaster was already out, but the Seamaster 300 was their full-on dive watch. Then you got the Railmaster, which was their answer to magnetic fields, the Milgauss, say, from Rolex. So that was their equivalent. Then they bring out the Speedmaster. So the Speedmaster was intended for the racetrack. How does the Speedmaster get from being designed for the racetrack, like the Daytona was? Although it wasn't originally called the Daytona, but anyway, off point. So how does it get from there to go into the moon? So, how it first started was there was an astronaut, which was Walter Wally Schirra. So I've literally just butchered that name, so apologies. So in 1962, he was due to go on a mission with NASA, and at that point, NASA hadn't started approving watches. It was his personal watch. So he goes into space with the watch, it works well, and then he's basically recommends it. So 1964 comes along, astronauts are like, hang on a second, we need a watch that's approved. Maybe they just didn't want to pay for the watch, so they're like, work can pay for it.
Yeah, that old chestnut.
Exactly, that old chestnut. We can get ourselves a free watch here. So NASA opens it up that people can, watch companies can put in, tender, essentially, for having, their watch used for space missions. So there's 4 submissions that are put in. One of them is discounted straight away because they didn't follow the rules. Naughty. They put in a pocket watch, which is not what they want.
How was a pocket watch ever going to be useful on the moon?
Wait.
Let
me open my waistcoat and bring it out. Yeah, brilliant move. So it goes through all the tests, and I think that goes to like 1965. I want to say. It did. Yeah, it's a 1965. So they go through all the tests. Only one watch makes it. That is the Moonwatch, not this particular one. Obviously, it wasn't being called the Moonwatch at this point. It was just the Omega Speedmaster. And we're talking the model, obviously, with the Hesselite crystal. So that was the one which essentially made it through. So if you've been into collecting Moonwatches, you're going to know there's the Speedmaster, Ed White. The reason it's called that is because it's after the astronaut. So he was the first guy to walk in space, apparently.
How that works, I still don't quite know. It's definitely just floating, isn't it?
It's definitely just floating. Anyway, so then 1969 comes along. Moon time. Boom. Up they go to the moon. Land down. 2 astronauts make it onto the moon. You've got Buzz Aldrin, the less famous one. Neil Armstrong as well, the more famous of the one. He went first, right?
He went first.
You're right. Old Buzzy, jumped out behind. But
I'm pretty sure there's a third as well, but I don't know if
he had to stay into the in the module.
Yeah,
didn't he?
Sucks to be him.
Anyway,
I don't even know his name.
Neil Armstrong, he forgets his watch. Brilliant. Anyway, Buzzy Boy though, he's all right. So he comes out and he wears his watch on the moon, and that's how you get the name Moonwatch. And since then, Omega hasn't shut up about it. So
have they not?
No,
they've done a few anniversary editions, have they?
There's a 50th anniversary.
Oh, look, there's a really detailed drawing of Buzz Aldrin right there.
I don't know. it could be him.
He's a very symmetrical astronaut.
The other time that it was kind of the Moonwatch really became famous, 1970, Apollo Mission 13. This is the one where they f***ed it all up. And
big time.
Thing went wrong. Houston, we got a problem. All that happened. So they went around, blah blah blah, and they had to time their re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, and they did it using their Speedmaster. Beautiful.
It's about the only bit that didn't go wrong.
Exactly. Even to this day, the Omega Speedmaster is qualified for all space missions, and it's still the manual wind movement. There are other watches that they use on the moon in space, approved by Omega, like the X33. But this is the original, is always known as the Hesselite manual wind model.
I hope they print that qualification on the back of the watch somewhere.
Yeah, they did a little bit. I think for me, what has gained the Speedmaster universal kind of respect from the watch collecting world is it's not necessarily a watch which is about the money, because I mean they're not cheap, but compared to the market these days, they offer very good value, I think. And if you're wearing a Speedmaster, especially if it's a vintage one, and you see someone wearing it, you're like, he gets it. He's a watch guy. It's certainly a way to signal that you're into watches. And what's great about them is there's just so many that you can look at to buy, collect, and study. I mean, the variations are just mind-blowing. You start all the way back with the now legendary Caliber 321, which Omega recently re-released, and, that's an expensive watch. That starts at £10,000 for a standard steel model. Obviously, the amount of variations now from the ceramic models, the grey side of the moon, the dark side of the moon. I'm sure they've got one which has probably got the moon in it. Actually, they do. They got a meteorite dial. Which actually has shot up a little bit, but I think that only went up recently because of the Daytona game released with the meteorite dial. Yeah. Again, if you couldn't get that, you wanted that. It starts with the 321. So the ones that I'm going to show you today, because I happen to have a couple. That's why it's Moonwatch week. We're going to start with the reference 145 Spot 022. Now, there's so many transitional models from the originals out from 1957. It's a bit of a minefield. So if you want all of the history of all the models, you're best to look it up because it can give you all of that history all the way through. This reference, the 145 Spot 022, it's majorly in demand because it was in production for so long. It doesn't have the 321 movement. It switched out to the Caliber 861, which was then replaced by the 1861 and the newest model, I think that's the 3861. So the reason they changed the original 321 was essentially it was more efficient, but more importantly, it was cheaper to make, and essentially it was more accurate as well, and it was just easier to produce. So there's all the variations. There's lots of differences on the dials. I say lots of difference. We're talking really subtle differences. So you have to know what to look for. Condition-wise, that's where it gets interesting, because I think with these, even the ones that are beat up, they're quite interesting. Even you see like a vintage beat-up Moonwatch with the bezel scraped up. Now, I still think it looks good. Where you have to be careful with these, though, is where people have mixed parts, and that's where it gets murky, where they've swapped out dials, hands, movements, and that's quite prevalent in vintage Omega Speedmasters. So that's something you either need to know your stuff or buy it from a trusted source. That would be the one thing I put out there. But there's still, I think what makes this reference really great is that it's still available at a decent price. I think we have a re-entry.
I get it. Re-entry.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Surprise.
Right. Who are you?
I'm Ariana.
What are you doing here?
Well, I'm here for Dada Smelly Pants.
Dada Smelly Pants. Brilliant. Right, of the watches we've got here, which one do you like the most? Choose your favourite one.
This one.
Why do you like that one? I mean, that's my choice as well.
Put the Piaget on there as well.
It's normally cool and golden.
Yeah, it's golden, definitely. This is the Cartier Santos. Definitely a good choice on that. What about this one, though?
Yeah, more better than that one. This one's all golden.
All golden. All golden.
Should we tell you the prices and see if you like them all the same?
It doesn't matter. She's got all the money in the world, don't you?
Yeah.
How much money you got for watches?
50-100.
50-100.
You can get a crash for that.
50-100 million or 50-100,000?
50-100,000.
I would have gone with a million.
I'd have gone with $1 million.
Yeah.
It's modest.
Right, what do you like about watches?
They're boring.
Oh my god, you know this is a show about watches. Like, you're killing me here.
Yeah, but I don't like watches, but only what the colours are.
The colours are. You love watches.
The watches are going to get you an inheritance one day.
How often do we look at watches online?
Not that much. My watch is broken.
Oh, your watch is broken.
Yeah, it doesn't tick.
It doesn't tick. Well, listen. Funds are tight right now.
It's a dish to watch. Shh.
It's most definitely a quartz. Right, you going to go now?
Yeah, but wait. Dad, make sure Dada is a smelly pants. Keep laughing him, because he is a smelly pants.
Okay, thank you.
In the comments.
Brilliant additions to this week's show.
Guest star.
Right, so not going to get too technical into it, but reference numbers. Omega likes to make it difficult. It's not like Rolex where they're like, at this time, they're like the 5513 or the 1675 GMT, and you're like, oh yeah, that one. The Pepsi. What? The dive watch.
That one.
That one. No. So the 145.022 never actually went to space, although it came out in 1968, the year before they went to the moon. NASA had already, or Omega had given NASA the watches before, so there was actually, they didn't actually go. So this watch was released in 68, and the reference numbers, the 145.022 goes all the way up to 1981. But now you're thinking, James, you told us this one from 1985 is a 145.022. Well, technically it is. It's also the 145.0022, but the case reference remained 145.022. So yeah, it's a little complicated, but
it is and it isn't.
It is and it isn't. So this is like a really long-running model. Price, they're still really good value for a vintage watch. Especially the 80s are particularly good because you can look up on the website, see the pictures of this watch. The condition is just absolutely stunning. Really is just, the case is all there. And in terms of a value proposition, £4,195. That's cheaper than the new models. And normally in vintage watches, it's the other way around. They're at a higher price than the retail. So the new one in Hesselite model, because this is the Hesselite model, is, I don't know, 5.5 something. I don't know, 5.5. The Sapphire Sandwich is 6120. I know that because I sold one this week, not at retail, obviously. I think for me, the vintage Omegas and the modern ones, I'd always go with the Hesselite, which is, it's plastic. The reason they went with this, obviously, is, sapphire would crack and smash all over the place, whereas the Hesselite doesn't. I mean, yes, it does get scratched up a little bit more, but I think it all adds part of the charm to the Moonwatch. So Yeah, the 145.022, and as well the aging that you get on the dial and the markers. It's still the same size, 42 millimeter. It's still the manual wind movement. Obviously, this is the 861, this is the 1861, and then it goes up to the 3861, which is a significant upgrade on the new ones. And I was going to have one of them with me, but I literally just went out yesterday, so that's not in it. But if you want a new one, so got the vintage one, 4195. That's available in the shop. Where it gets more interesting is this is a brand new, unworn, still stickered. It's the discontinued one. So this watch here was purchased in January 2021. The new model came out March, I want to say, that sort of time. So the reference number, it's far too long to read off. We'll put it in the notes below. It's going to be available on the shop. Price-wise, this is going to come out at £4,500. The actual retail of this watch was £4,260. So yes, it's selling for more, but at £4,500, it's going to be most definitely the cheapest in the UK. And I still believe, as of filming this right now, it's the cheapest in the world for a brand new and unworn model. Why I would say to get this particular model. So you've got the outgoing bracelet and outgoing clasp, and the movement being the 1861. This was in production for over 2 decades, and it's just, this to me still says one of my first, I think it was my first second good watch, which I said in my review episode 2, and I bought this brand new at £2,000 at that time. It's still exactly the same. They've got a huge box and that which they put with it now, so you get extra straps, you get a loop, like you don't need all this rubbish.
We'd get the box, but like you wouldn't see anything else.
Exactly. But still at £4,500 is still cheaper than both of the new Hesalite and the new Sapphire. I've always been the fan of the Hesalite, as I was saying, because I prefer the closed case back, and you've got the text on the dial back case back, which is slightly different to the new ones. And it's just a great watch for the money, especially as well. Values on these things. I was selling these at the beginning of this year for anywhere between 3 and 3,400. It's at 4.5 already, and that's going to be the cheapest one in the world. They're being sold up to £6,000 right now. Where is this going to be a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line? I'm not selling it as an investment. You should buy watches because you love them, but I would say this: it's a good buy, and in the future you'll do well on it if you want to say goodbye to it.
But why would you want to say goodbye?
The thing that makes the Moonwatch really good is also the reason why I haven't held on to one, which is a bit odd. And what I say that because you can buy this watch, sell it because you want the money for something else, but you always know you can get another one. With this model, you can't, obviously, because it's discontinued. But let's say you're buying a new Moonwatch, you can sell it and get it. It's not like if you got a Daytona, you know that when you sell that,
that's that day. That's it.
You're out unless you want to pay the crazy market price. Let's say if you bought it at retail, though, I don't know, it's 9-10 grand, whatever. You're not going to want to spank 25-30 grand on a new one. You're just not. So you know that if you can't get it, and I think
that would be hard. I wouldn't know anything about that.
But I mean, it works well for Omega because although it doesn't do as well on the secondary market, it still means that people buy more. Like if you speak to watch collectors and be like, "Oh, have you had a Moonwatch?" If they've said yes, I bet you they've had loads. I've personally, of the standard Hesalite model, I've probably had 4. And then I've had all the other variations. And other people are the same. So they sell a lot of these watches. But I think still kudos to them because they could restrict the supply of them. I mean, even the Snoopy, the original one, like the white dial black one.
Do we have to talk about the Snoopy?
I'm not fully up with prices, but I looked the other day on Chrono24. £46,000. Who the is paying 46,000? And that was a watch which was 6 grand.
Yeah.
And that's Omega. They're doing crazy numbers, more than a Daytona. Obviously, you've got the newer one as well, which is doing very well on the aftermarket. So the reality is, if Omega wanted to, they could restrict supply and you could be buying these on the aftermarket for way more. So I think, props to them for not. So we've got some cool stuff coming in over the next few weeks. Obviously, the Piaget 9154, 9P, whatever you want to call it. The sexy Goldfinger I was going to say Austin Powers.
Finger.
You do that quite well, actually. It's very... Was it... Oh, we had this conversation. Was
Shirley Bassey.
It was Shirley Bassey, not Tina Turner.
No.
So, yeah, we got the Piaget. That's dropping. This one is already in the web shop. Seriously, buy that. Like, you're going to miss out. Then we've got this one dropping. It's brand new, unworn, full set. It's under warranty because it was bought in January 2021. That'll be going up at £4,500. We have my Cartier Santos. That's going in the mix as well. I think it's only 2 months old. Full set.
If that.
It's under warranty. And I got the extended warranty. I can't remember what the Cartier warranty is. It's crazy. It's like 6 or 8 years or something. So great value. And this watch new is £8,350. I'm selling for £5,900. It's close to. It's got some light wear marks on it because of some of the polished surfaces. You get that, but other than that, it's amazing. What else have I got coming in? So we got. I
bet, hands down, you can't get any Rolexes right now.
Well, funny you mention that. The guy that doesn't deal in new Rolexes has a couple coming in. So we've got
not locally sourced. I might add.
Not locally sourced. I mean, I wish. Because I'd be making a huge margin. No, I've gone out and done the right thing and I bought it from a wholesaler. So we've got the new Submariner Starbucks. We're going to get to nicknames. I might do an episode on Rolex
Has that landed
nicknames.
yet?
No, it's not here yet. It will be. It might do by the time that this airs, though. If not, it'll be maybe end of next week. So we got the new. It's a brand new unworn Rolex Starbucks. So that's the green bezel, black dial. Obviously, the predecessor was the Hulk, which is green dial and bezel, which are doing
the Hulk. Sure. What do you prefer as a nickname, the Hulk or the Starbucks?
Hulk.
Yeah.
Starbucks. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, how these nicknames come about is just whoever comes up with it first and pushes. And at first, the Starbucks was being mentioned at first as the nickname, and everyone's like, no, we're not calling it this. But no one had a better idea, so that's what we've ended up now with the Starbucks. I think I actually prefer it to the Hulk, but the Hulk is doing crazy numbers on the aftermarket right now. It's higher than the Starbucks, so it's a good time because the Starbucks pricing was all the way up here and it's come down, so I think it's settled, and I'll be offering that as well at the cheapest price in the whole of the UK, so that's going to be great. And more interestingly, well, maybe it's not more interesting, I've got a new Rolex Submariner, the standard date model. It's from 2011, but it's stickered and unworn.
That's rare.
And it will be one of the cheapest on the market, and that's including used ones. So you'll be able to pick one up brand new, cheaper than used models. How do you do it?
Try and get that from an AD anytime soon.
I think. Well, so the models...
Why don't we start getting people to register their interest?
Well, with me, express interest. Send me a bio. Send me a video of why I should get it. Yeah, that's going to work. So yeah, I think obviously it's the discontinued model now because it's the 40mm as opposed to the 41mm with the old maxi case. So you can't buy these anymore. Actually, you can because you can buy it from me. So yeah, loads of new stuff. I feel like there's something else coming in. I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure there is.
I don't know. I've spent a lot of money. So
just a little bit.
Hit up the website, robinhenrywatches.com. Oh, sake, how did
yes!
I do that? I swear I did not do that deliberately. I seriously need to stop drinking. How can you say that? I talk normally most of the time, don't I?
Normally, yeah.
Why is it when I come in? It's the pressure. I would say this. It's not easy to do. Like, you'd be like, yeah, that guy on YouTube, he can't even talk properly. Well, what I would say to that is try it. And then you end up like this.
You're not averse to public speaking, but this is, yeah. It's interesting how it keeps coming back to the same subject.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, check out the watches at robinhenrywatches.com. You can also go onto our Instagram account, which is where my main social media activity is, which is at robinhenrywatches. And we're on Facebook now as well. I don't really push the Facebook thing, but I know some people prefer to use it, so check it out. I don't know what I presume just tap in Robin Henry Watches.
I would guess so, yeah. I should know this.
You should. If you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell.
Ding.
I think that's it.
I think so. We say that's it, like it's kind of like, it's a bit depressing, isn't it?
I don't know.
That's it.
Filming this episode has been difficult.
It has been very difficult.
If you knew where we filmed this, there's been some alien noises
Some alien.
for Moonwatch week.
Ooh.
Get what I did there?
Bit of re-entry and
There was some re-entry.
now
That sounds
weird. Now, okay, I'm ending this.
I'm out. I mean, I dress very casual every day. I mean, I wear the same thing every day. It's black. But still, yeah. If it was like, yeah,
Gun to your head right now.
I'll take the meteorite GMT.
Good.
Also, I know I can always get out of it easily.